Hey guys, welcome to my channel Live Bio, and today I'm going to teach you the chapter 8 Cell, the Unit of Life of class 11th. So this is the podcast of this chapter, and I'm not only going to podcasting this chapter but also going to tell you the main points of this chapter as well as the simple text to learn the difficult words, okay, and to understand the difficult words. Okay, so let's get started. So the chapter starts from this page, which carry the uh, G.N. Ramchandran, an outstanding figure in the field of protein structure, was the founder of the Madras School of Conformational Analysis of Biopolymers. His discovery of the triple helical structure of collagen, published in Nature in 1954, and his analysis of the allowed conformations of protein through the use of Ramchandran plot rank among the most outstanding contribution is structural biology. He was born on October 8, 1922, in a small town not far from Cochin on the southwestern coast of India. His father was a professor of mathematics at a local college and thus had considerable influence in shaping Ramchandran's interest in mathematics. After completing his school years, Ramchandran graduated in 1942 as the top ranking student in the BSc Honours Physics course of the University of Madras. He received a PhD from Cambridge University in 1949. While at Cambridge, Ramchandran met Pauling and was deeply influenced by his publications on models of the alpha helix and beta sheet structure that directed his attention to solving the structure of collagen. He passed away at the age of 78 on April 7, 2001. So, only 4 points are important from this whole paragraph, which you have to remember. The first one is G.N. Ramchandran, an outstanding figure in the field of protein structure. This is the first point. And second point is conformational analysis of biopolymers. Okay. The third point is his discovery of the triple helix structure of collagen. Fourth point is Linus Pauling was Linus Pauling. He met the Linus Pauling and was deeply influenced by his publication on model of alpha helix and beta sheet structure that directed. This is not important, that's it, only till the beta sheet structure. Okay, now come to the chapter. When you look around, you see both living and non-living things. You must have wondered and asked yourself, what is it that makes an organism living? What is it that an inanimate thing does not have, which a living thing has? The answer to this is the presence of the basic unit of life, the cell, in all living organisms. All organisms are composed of cells. Some are composed of a single cell and are called unicellular organisms, while others, like us, composed of many cells called multicellular organisms. Now the second topic is, what is a cell? Unicellular organisms are capable of, first point, independent existence and performing the essential function of life. Anything less than a complete structure of a cell does not ensure independent living. Hence, cell is the fundamental structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Anton von Leeuwenhoek first saw and described a live cell. Robert Brown later discovered the nucleus. The invention of the microscope and its improvement leading to the electron microscope revealed all the structural detail of the cell. Second topic, cell theory, which is also known as doctrine. In 1838, Matthias Leiden, a German botanist, examined a large number of plants and observed that all plants are composed of different kinds of cells, which form the tissues of the plant. At about the same time, Theodore Swan, 1839, a British zoologist, studied different type of animal cells and reported that cells had a thin outer layer which is today known as the plasma membrane. He also concluded, based on his studies on plant tissues, that presence of cell wall is a unique character of the plant cell. On the basis of this, Swan proposed the hypothesis that the bodies of animals and plants are composed of cells and product of cells. Schleiden and Swan together formulated the cell theory. This theory, however, did not explain as to how new cells were formed. Rudolf Virchow, 1855, first explained that cell divided and new cells are formed from pre-existing cells. Omnis cellula e cellula. He modified the hypothesis of Schleiden and Swan to give the cell theory a final shape. Cell theory, as understood today, is point 1. All living organisms are composed of cells and products of cells. All cells arise from pre existing cells. Third topic, an overview of cell. You have earlier observed cells in an onion peel and or human cheek cells under the microscope. Let us recollect their structure. The onion cell, which is a typical plant cell, has a distinct cell wall as its outer boundary, and just within it is the cell membrane. The cells of the human cheek have an outer membrane as the delimiting structure of the cell. Inside each cell is a dense membrane bound structure called nucleus. This material, DNA, cells that have membrane bound nuclei are called eukaryotic, whereas cells that lack a membrane bound nucleus are prokaryotic. In both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, a semi-fluid matrix called cytoplasm occupies the volume of the cell. The cytoplasm is the main arena of cellular activities in both the plants and animal cells. Various chemical reactions occur in it to keep the cell in the living state. Besides the nucleus, eukaryotic cells have other membrane-bound distinct structures called organelles like the endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi complex, lysosomes, mitochondria, microbodies, and vacuoles. The prokaryotic cells lack such membrane-bound organelles. Ribosomes are non-membrane-bound organelle found in all cells, both eukaryote as well as prokaryote. Within the cell, ribosomes are found not only in the cytoplasm but also within the two organelles chloroplast, mitochondria, and on rough endoplasmic reticulum. Animal cells contain another non-membrane bound organelle called centriole, which helps in cell division. Cells differ greatly in size, shape, and activities. For example, mycoplasmas, the smallest cells are only 0.3 micrometer in length, while bacteria could be 3 to 5 micrometer. The largest isolated single cell is the egg of an ostrich. Among multicellular organisms, human red blood cells are about 7.0 micrometer in diameter. Nerve cells are some of the longest cells. Cells also vary greatly in shape. They may be disc-like, polygonal, columnar, cuboidal, thread-like, or even irregular. The shape of the cell may vary with the function they perform. So the main points which you have to remember from this whole para is the fourth line. The cells of the human cheek have an outer membrane as the delimiting structure of the cell. This is the first point. The second point is 10th line. In both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, a semi-fluid matrix called cytoplasm occupies the volume of the cell. The third point is third para, second first line. Ribosomes are non-membrane bound organelles found in all cell, both eukaryote as well as prokaryote. This is the another line. Before that, I forget to tell you the another important point, which is the prokaryotic cell lacks such membrane bound organelles. This is also important one. After that, ribosomes are found not only in the cytoplasm but also within the two organelles. This is also the important one. And again, next one is animal cell contain another non-membrane bound organelle called centriole, which help in cell division. This is also important. Third, mycoplasma is the smallest cell. This counting is very important. Its length is very important. While bacteria could be 3 to 5 micrometer, this is also very important. The largest isolated single cell, this human red blood cells, nerve cells, all of these are important, and the shape of the cell may vary with the function they perform. This is also. Now, the fourth topic is prokaryotic cells. The prokaryotic cells are represented by bacteria, blue-green algae, mycoplasma, and PPLO, which is Pleuropneumonia-like organism. They are generally smaller and multiply more rapidly than the eukaryotic cells. They may vary greatly in shape and size. Four basic shapes of bacteria are bacillus, which is rod-shaped, rod-like, coccus, spherical, vibrio, comma-shaped, and spirillum, spiral. The organization of the prokaryotic cell is fundamentally similar, even though prokaryotes exhibit a wide variety of shapes and functions. All prokaryotes have a cell wall surrounding the cell membrane, except in mycoplasma. The fluid matrix filling the cell is the cytoplasm. There is no well-defined nucleus. The genetic material is basically naked, not enveloped by a nuclear membrane. In addition to the genomic DNA, that is the single chromosome or a circular DNA, many bacteria have small circular DNA outside the genomic DNA. These smaller DNA are called plasmid. The plasmid DNA confers certain unique phenotypic character to such bacteria. One such character is resistance to antibiotics. In higher classes, you will learn that this plasmid DNA is used to monitor bacterial transformation with foreign DNA. Nuclear membrane is found in eukaryotes. No organelles like the ones in eukaryotes are found in prokaryote cells except for ribosomes. Prokaryotes have something unique in the form of inclusion. A specialized differentiated form of cell membrane called mesosome is the characteristic of prokaryotes. They are essentially enfoldings of cell membrane. Now, another topic is cell envelope and its modifications. Most prokaryotic cells, particularly the bacterial cells, have a chemically complex cell envelope. The cell envelope consists of a tightly bound three-layered structure, that is the outermost glycocalyx, followed by the cell wall and then plasma membrane. Although each layer of the envelope performs distinct function, they act together as a single protective unit. Bacteria can be classified into two groups on the basis of the differences in the cell envelopes and the manner in which they respond to the staining procedure developed by Gram-Swiss. This is also very important. This name Gram-Swiss, tick out this. Those that take up the gram stain are gram positive, and the others that do not are called gram negative bacteria. Glycocalyx differs in composition and thickness among different bacteria. Take this one also. It could be a loose sheath called the slime layered in some, while in others It may be thick and tough, called capsule. Take this one also. The cell wall determines the shape of the cell and provide a strong structural support to prevent the bacterium from bursting or collapsing. The plasma membrane is semi-permeable in nature. Take this one also. And interact with the outside world. This membrane is similar structurally to that of the eukaryotes. A special membranous structure is the mesosome. Take this one also, which is formed by the extensions of plasma membrane into the cell. Take this one also. These extensions are in the form of vesicles, tubules, and lamella. They help in cell wall formation, DNA replication, and distribution of daughter cells. They also help in respiration, secretion processes to increase the surface area of the plasma membrane and enzymatic content. In some prokaryotes like cyanobacteria, there are other membranous extensions into the cytoplasm called chromatophores which contain pigments. Bacterial cells may be motile or non-motile. If motile, they have thin filamentous extensions from their cell wall called flagella. Take this one also. Bacteria show a range in the number and arrangement of flagella. Bacterial flagellum is composed of three parts. Take this one also. Filament, hook, and basal body. The filament is the longest portion and extends from the cell surface to the outside. Beside flagella, pili and fimbriae are also surface structures. Take this one also of the bacteria but do not play a role in motility. The pili are elongated tubular. Take this one also. Structure made of a special protein. Take all these. Now the fimbriae are small bristle-like fibers sprouting out of the cell. In some bacteria, they are known to help attach the bacteria to rocks in streams and also to the host tissues. Now, next topic is ribosomes and inclusion bodies. In prokaryotes, ribosomes are associated with the plasma membrane of the cell. They are about 15 nm by 20 nm in size and are made of two subunits 50S and 30S units, which when present together form 70S prokaryotic ribosome. Take all these three lines. All these three lines are important. Ribosomes are the site of protein synthesis. Several ribosomes may attach to a single mRNA and form a chain called polyribosomes and polysome. Take this one also. The ribosome of a polysome translate the mRNA into proteins. Take this one also. Inclusion bodies. What are inclusion bodies? Reserved material in prokaryotic cells are stored in the cytoplasm in the form of inclusion bodies. These are not bound by any membrane system and lie free in the cytoplasm. Example: phosphate granules, cyanophycine granules, and glycogen granules. Gas vacuoles are found in blue, green, and purple and green photosynthetic bacteria. Gas vacuole is important. From gas vacuole to bacteria. Take this one. Now the next topic is eukaryotic cells. The eukaryotes include all the protists, plants, animals, and fungi. In eukaryotic cells, there is an extensive compartmentalization of cytoplasm through the presence of membrane-bound organelles. Eukaryotic cells possess an organized nucleus with a nuclear envelope. In addition, eukaryotic cells have a variety of complex locomotory and cytoskeletal structure. Their genetic material is organized into chromosomes. Take this one. All eukaryotic cells are not identical. Plant and animal cells are different as the former possess cell wall, blastoids, and a large central vacuole. Take this one also, which are absent in animal cells. On the other hand, animal cells have centriole. This also is important, which are absent in almost all plants. Take this one also. Let us now look at individual cell organelles to understand their structure and function. Now, the second topic is cell membrane. The detailed structure of the cell membrane was studied only after the advent of the electron microscope in the 1950s. Take this one. Meanwhile, chemical studies on the cell membrane, especially in human red blood cells, enables the scientists to deduce the possible structure of plasma membrane. These studies showed that the cell membrane is composed of lipids that are arranged in a bilayer. Also, the lipids are arranged within the membrane with the polar head towards the outer side and the hydrophobic tails towards the inner part. This ensures that the non-polar tail of saturated hydrocarbons is protected from the aqueous environment. The lipid component of the membrane mainly consists of phosphoglycerides. Later, biochemical investigation clearly revealed that the cell membranes also possess protein and carbohydrates. The ratio of protein and lipids varies considerably in different cell types. In human being, the membrane of the erythrocyte, take this one, has approximately 52% of protein and 40% of lipids. Take all this. Depending on the ease of extraction, membrane protein can be classified as integral or peripheral. Peripheral protein lie on the surface of membrane, take this one, while the integral protein are partially or totally buried in the membrane, take this one also. An improved model of the structure of cell membrane was proposed by Singer and Nicholson in 1972, widely accepted as fluid mosaic model. According to this, the quasi-fluid nature of lipid enables lateral movement of protein within the overall bilayer. This ability to move within the membrane is measured as its fluidity. The fluid nature of the membrane is also important from the point of view of functions like cell growth, formation of intracellular junction, secretion, endocytosis, cell division. One of the most important functions of the plasma membrane is the transport of the molecules across it. The membrane is selectively permeable to some molecules present on either side of it. Many molecules can move briefly across the membrane without any requirement of energy, and this is called the passive transport. Neutral solutes may move across the membrane by the process of simple diffusion along the concentration gradient, that is, from the higher concentration to the lower. Water may be moved across this membrane from higher to lower concentration. Movement of water by diffusion is called osmosis. As the polar molecule cannot pass through the non-polar lipid bilayer, they require a carrier protein to the membrane to facilitate their transport across the membrane. A few ions or molecules are transported across the membrane against their concentration gradient, that is, from lower to the higher concentration. Such a transport is an energy dependent process in which ATP is utilized and is called active transport. Example, Na plus K plus pump. Now the next topic is cell wall. As you may recall, a non-living rigid structure called the cell wall forms an outer covering for the plasma membrane of fungi and plant. This one is important. Cell wall not only gives shape to the cell and protect the cell from mechanical damage and infection, it also helps in cell to cell interaction and provide barrier to undesirable macromolecules. Algae have cell wall made of cellulose, galactans, mannans and minerals. This one is important. This whole line is important, like calcium carbonate, while in other plant it consists of cellulose, hemicellulose, pectin and proteins. This is also very important. The cell wall of a young plant cell, the primary wall is capable of growth. This one is also important, which gradually diminishes as the cell matures, and secondary wall is formed on the inner, which is towards membrane side of the cell. The middle lamella is a layer mainly of calcium pectate. This one is important, which holds or glues the different neighboring cells together. The cell wall and middle lamella may be traversed by plasmodesmata, which connect the cytoplasm of neighboring cells. Now the second topic is endomembrane system. While each of the membranous organelles is distinct in terms of its structure and function, many of these are considered together as an endomembrane system because their functions are coordinated. The endomembrane system include endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, lysosomes, and vacuoles. Since the function of the mitochondria, chloroplast, and peroxisomes are coordinated with the above components, these are not considered as part of the endomembrane system. Now the second is, this is the part of this topic. Okay, the endoplasmic reticulum. Electron microscopic studies of eukaryotic cells reveals the presence of a network of reticulum of tiny tubular structure. Take this one, scattered in the cytoplasm, that is called the endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum divides the intracellular space into two distinct compartments, that is luminal inside endoplasmic reticulum and extraluminal, which is the cytoplasm compartment. This one is also important. Endoplasmic reticulum often show ribosomes attached to their outer surface. The endoplasmic reticulum bearing ribosomes on their surface is called rough endoplasmic reticulum. This one is important. In the absence of ribosome, they appear smooth, are called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. This is also important. RER is frequently observed in the cell activities involved in protein synthesis and secretion. This one is important. They are extensive and continuous with the outer membrane of the nucleus. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum is the major site for synthesis of lipid. This one is important. In animal cells, lipid-like steroidal hormones are synthesized in SER. This one is also important. Now, the second subpoint is Golgi apparatus. Camillo Golgi in 1898 first observed densely stained reticular structures near the nucleus. These were later named Golgi bodies after him. They consist of many flat disc-like sacs or cisterna of 0.5 micrometer to 1.0 micrometer diameter. This measurement is important. These are stacked parallel to each other. Varied number of cisterna are present in a Golgi complex. The Golgi cisterna are concentrically arranged near the nucleus with the distinct convex cis or the forming phase and concave trans or the maturing phase. The cis and the trans phases of the organelle are entirely different but interconnected. The Golgi apparatus principally performs the function of packaging materials to be delivered either to the intracellular targets or secreted outside the cell. Materials to be packed in the form of vesicles from the ER fuse with the cis phase of the Golgi apparatus and move towards the maturing phase. This explains why the Golgi apparatus remains in close association with the endoplasmic reticulum. A number of proteins synthesized by ribosomes on the endoplasmic reticulum are modified in the cisterna of the Golgi apparatus before they are released from its trans phase. Golgi apparatus is the important site of formation of glycoproteins and glycolipids. This one is important. Now, lysosomes. These are membrane-bound vesicular structures formed by the process of packaging in the Golgi apparatus. The isolated lysosomal vesicles have been found to be very rich in almost all types of hydrolytic enzymes, hydrolases, lipases, proteases, carbohydrases. Optimally active at the acidic pH, these enzymes are capable of digesting carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. Another point is vacuoles. The vacuole is the membrane bound space found in the cytoplasm. It contains water, sap, secretory product, and other materials not useful for the cell. The vacuole is bound by a single membrane called tonoplast. In, in plant cells, the vacuole can occupy up to 90% of the volume of the cell. In plants, the tonoplast facilitates the transport of a number of ions and other materials against concentration gradient into the vacuole. Hence, their concentration is significantly higher in the vacuole than in the cytoplasm. In amoeba, the contractile vacuole is important for excretion. In many cells, as in protists, food vacuole are formed by engulfing the food particles. This one is also important. This whole para is important. Mitochondria, this is the another topic. Mitochondria, unless specifically stained, are not easily visible under the microscope. The number of, this point is important, the number of mitochondria per cell is variable depending on the physiological activity of the cell. This is also important. In terms of shape and size, also considerable degree of variability is observed. Typically, it is sausage shaped or cylindrical, having a diameter of, this is important, 0.2 to 1.0 micrometer, average 0.5 micrometer, and length 1.0 to 1 micrometer. Each mitochondria is a double membrane bound structure with the outer membrane and the inner membrane, dividing its lumen distinctly into two aqueous compartments, that is the outer compartment and the inner compartment. The inner compartment is called matrix. This is important. The outer membrane forms the continuous limiting boundary of the organelle. The inner membrane forms a number of enfoldings called crista. This one is important. Towards the matrix, this crista increase the surface area. This is important. The two membranes have their own specific enzymes associated with the mitochondrial function. This one is also important. Mitochondria are the site of aerobic respiration. They produce cellular energy in the form of ATP. Hence, they are called powerhouses of the cell. The matrix also possesses single cellular circular DNA molecule, a few RNA molecules, ribosomes, 70S, and the components required for the synthesis of proteins. The mitochondria divide by fission. Now the next topic is plastids. Plastids are found in all plant cells and in euglenoids. These are easily observed under the microscope as they are large. They bear some specific pigments, thus imparting specific color to the plant. Based on the type of pigment, plastids can be classified into chloroplast, chromoplast, and leucoplast. This point is important. The chloroplast contain chlorophyll and carotenoid pigment, which are responsible for trapping light energy essential for photosynthesis. This one is important. In the chromoplast, fat soluble carotenoid pigment like carotene, xanthophylls, and other are present. This one is important. This gives the part of the plant a yellow, orange, or red color. This is important. The leucoplast are the colorless plastids of varied shape and sizes with stored nutrients. This one is important. Amyloplasts store carbohydrates, which is starch, example potato. Eleuplast store oil and fats, whereas aleuroplast store proteins. Majority of the chloroplast of the green plant are found in the mesophyll cells of the leaves. These are lens-shaped, oval, spherical, discoid, or even ribbon-like organelles having variable length 5 to 10 micrometer and width 2 to 4 micrometer. Their number varies from 1 per cell of the Chlamydomonas, a green algae, to 20 to 40 per cell in the mesophyll. Like mitochondria, the chloroplasts are also double membrane bound. Of the two, the inner chloroplast membrane is relatively less permeable. The space limited by the inner membrane of the chloroplast is called the stroma. This one is important. A number of organized flattened membranous sacs called the thylakoids, this one is important, are present in the stroma. Thylakoid are arranged in stacks like the piles of coins called grana, this one is important, or the intergrana granule thylakoids. In addition, there are flat membranous tubules called the stroma lamella, this one is important, connecting the thylakoids to of the different grana. The membrane of the thylakoids enclose a space called a lumen. This one is important. The stroma of the chloroplast contains enzyme required for the synthesis of carbohydrates and proteins. It also contains small double-stranded circular DNA molecule and ribosomes. Chlorophyll pigments are present in the thylakoids. The ribosomes of the chloroplast are smaller 70s than the cytoplasmic ribosomes 80s. This one is important. Next topic is ribosomes. Ribosomes are the granular structures first observed under the electron microscope as dense particles by George Palade in 1953. They are composed of ribonucleic acid, RNA, and protein and are not surrounded by any membrane. The eukaryotic ribosomes are 80S while the prokaryotic ribosomes are 70S. Here S means Schwarzschild's unit, stands for the sedimentation coefficient. Indirectly is a measure of density and size. Both 70S and 80S ribosomes are composed of two subunits. Now the second topic is cytoskeletal. An elaborate network of filamentous proteinaceous structures present in the cytoplasm is collectively referred to as the cytoskeletal. The cytoskeleton in a cell are involved in many functions such as mechanical support, motility, maintenance of the shape of the cell. Now the another topic is cilia and flagella. Cilia and flagella are hair-like outgrowths of the cell membrane. This one is important. Cilia are small structure. This one is also important, which work like oars, causing the movement of either the cell or the surrounding fluid. This one is important. Flagella are comparatively longer and responsible for cell movement. The prokaryotic bacteria also possess flagella. This one is important, but these are structurally different from that of the eukaryotic flagella. This one is important. The electron microscope study of a cilium or the flagella show that they are covered by plasma membrane. This one is important. Their core called the exoneme, this one is important, possess a number of microtubules running parallel to the long axis, the exoneme usually has 9 pairs of doublets of radially arranged peripheral microtubules, this one is important, and a pair of centrally located microtubules. Such an arrangement of exonemal microtubules is referred to as the 9+2 array. The central tubules are connected by bridges and is also enclosed by a central sheath, which is connected to one of the tubules of each peripheral doublets by a radial spoke. Thus, there are 9 radial spokes. This one is important. The peripheral doublets are also interconnected by linkers. This is important. Both cilium and flagella emerge from centriole-like structure called the basal bodies. This line is important. Centrosome and centriole is the another topic. Centrosome is an organelle usually containing two cylindrical structures called centrioles. This is important. They are surrounded by amorphous pericentriolar materials. Both the centrioles in a centrosome lie perpendicular to each other, in which each has an organization like cartwheel. Is important. This line is important. They are made up of 9 evenly spaced peripheral fibrils of tubulin protein. Each of the peripheral fibril is a triplet. This one is important. The adjacent triplets are also linked. The central part of the proximal region of the centriole is also proteinaceous and called the hub. This is important. which is connected with the tubules of the peripheral triplets by radial spokes made of protein. This is important. The centrioles form the basal body of cilia or flagella and spindle fibers. This is important, that give rise to spindle apparatus during cell division in animal cells. Now the second another topic is nucleus. Nucleus as a cell organelle was first described by Robert Brown. This is important, as early as 1831. This date is important. Later, the material of the nucleus stained by the basic dyes was given the name chromatin by Fleming. This is important. The interphase nucleus, the nucleus of a cell when it is not dividing, has highly extended and elaborate nucleoprotein fibers called chromatin, nuclear matrix, and one or more spherical bodies called nucleoli, जिसको हम न्यूक्लियोलस कहते हैं, इज अ सिंगुलर फॉर्म. This one is important. Electron microscopy has revealed that the nuclear envelope, which consists of two parallel membranes with a space between 10 to 15 nm called the perinuclear space, forms a barrier between the materials present inside the nucleus and that of the cytoplasm. This is important. The outer membrane usually remains continuous with the endoplasmic reticulum and also bear ribosomes on it. This is important. At a number of places, the nuclear envelope is interrupted. This is important, by minute pores, which are formed by the fusion of its two membranes. These nuclear pores are the passage through which movement of RNA and protein molecules takes place in both directions between the nucleus and the cytoplasm. This is important. Normally there is only one nucleus per cell. This is important. Variations in the number of nuclei are also frequently observed. Can you recollect names of organisms that have more than one nucleus per cell? Some mature cells even lack cell nucleus. This is important. Example, erythrocytes of many mammals and seeds tube cells of vascular plant. This is important. Would you consider these cells as living? The nuclear matrix of the nuclear matrix or the nucleoplasm contains nucleolus and chromatin. This is important. The nuclei are spherical structure present in the nucleoplasm. The content of nucleolus is continuous with the rest of the nucleoplasm as it is not a membrane bound structure. This is important. It is a site or active ribosomal RNA synthesis. This is important. Larger or more numerous nucleoli are present in cells actively carrying out protein synthesis. You may recall that the interphase nucleus has a loose and distinct network of nucleoprotein fibers called chromatin. This is important, but during different stage of cell division, cells showed structured chromosomes in place of the nucleus. This is important. Chromatin contain DNA and some basic proteins called histones. This is important. Some non-histone proteins and also RNA. A single human cell has approximately 2-meter long thread of DNA. This is important. Distributed among its 46, which is 23 pairs, chromosome. Will study the detail of DNA packaging in the form of chromosome in class 12th. Every chromosome essentially has a primary constrictions or the centromere on the site of which disc-shaped structure called kinetochores, this is important, are present. Based on the position of the centromere, the chromosomes can be classified into 4 types. The metacentric chromosome has middle centromere forming 2 equal arms of the chromosome. The submetacentric, all these points are important. Chromosome has the centromere slightly away from the middle of the chromosome, resulting into the shorter arm and one longer arm. In case of acrocentric chromosome, the centromere is situated close to its end, forming one extremely short or one very long arm, whereas the telocentric chromosome has a terminal centromere Sometimes a few chromosomes have non-staining secondary constrictions at a constant location. This gives the appearance of a small fragment called the satellite. Now another last topic is microbodies. Many membrane-bound minute vesicles called microbodies that contain various enzymes are present in both plant and animal cells. Thank you and study hard. And please like, share and subscribe to my channel.